Hanuman, Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Hey! Hey! Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hey, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Adipati Raja Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sita Ram. Hey! Adipati Raja Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sita Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Adipati Raja Raja Ram, Patita Pavana. Hey, Adipati Raja Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sita Ram. Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Hariva, 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 Hariva. Nitai Gaur Hariva, 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 Nitai Gaur Hariva. Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman ki. People, they like to worship Ram. Not too many people like to worship Krishna. Ram is so easy, right? So nice. Whatever he says, he does. And Krishna, you can't trust him. He says, I'm not going to fight on a battlefield. He fights. He steals butter and he lies. He's always tricky. So everyone says, Jai Ram, Krishna. Krishna is too hard. Let's worship Ram. Ram's so nice. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ramadi Murti Shukalani Yamena Tishtan Nanavatara Akaro Bhuvane Sukinchu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramam Pamanyo Govindam Hari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Shikshastikam, you can't hide. Your effulgence gives you away. A bright light coming from that area. So, what would you like to hear about, Krishna or Ram? Ram Leela or Krishna Leela? This is Nashik, right? What is this place? This is the place of Suparnika. We can all say Jai Suparnika Devi Ki Jai. So, this is a very holy place, Nashik. It's one of the places by which we perform the Ard Mela. The Kumbh Mela also is here, right? Yeah. So when the drops of nectar fell from the Mohini Murti, they fell in 4 different places. Rameshwar, Nashik, Ujjain, and Badrinath, right? Prayag, yeah. So it's a very holy place. Sometimes they appear to be like ordinary activities of the conditioned souls in the material world. They are not, because Krishna performs, or Ram performs his pastimes, and so many people benefit. What is that benefit? They become attracted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And to become attracted to Krishna or Ram or any of the incarnations means to fulfill the purpose of human life. The human life is that in this material world, the material energy works in such a way as to attract the conditioned souls to the activities of the body and the activities of society in general, which takes away or diverts or detours the mind of the conditioned soul away from their actual best interest. So the antidote for that is only one. Satam prasangam mama virya samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata. That means to come together with devotees and to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. Hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord is not by using your cell phones to record it and then look at it later. If you're in there and if you're on your cell phones and the kirtan's going on, you're not there. You're in your cell phone. And you're missing the opportunity to actually experience the happiness of the transcendental activities. So we want to capture the moment, but the capturing of the moment is the experience of the moment. Simply putting it on the machine and playing it back later, you get some memory, that's all. But the experience is happening right now. But if we divert our attention to the future and miss the present, then what is the purpose? So, therefore, when we're in the kirtan, we should be singing, dancing, and somehow participating in the glorification of the Lord. Because kirtan, although it's fun, although we perform it sometimes in a little bit of a crazy way, especially me, I've been known to be crazy. It's not about that. It's about the Lord. It's about glorifying the Lord. And the experience of the happiness that comes by way of kirtan is when the Lord is pleased with our mood of glorification, that happiness arises within the heart. And then all of a sudden you sing and you dance, and it doesn't become an effort anymore. It becomes, you're like in the waves of an ocean, and it's just taking you closer and closer to Krishna through the sound vibration. So this process of kirtan is meant to absorb our minds, our hearts, and all of our physical properties in the activities of glorifying the Lord. And it says that with the rising, this is from the Bhagavatam, and the setting of the sun, another day is lost, and one is closer to death, except, this word except is there, except for those who use their time to glorify the all-good personality of Godhead. So the sun becomes our enemy. Why? Because it's taking away our life. Every time it rises and sets, we are getting closer to the end of this body. Imperceptibly, time is moving us closer to that moment when we have to leave this world. But the scriptures say, and the acharyas, especially Srila Prabhupada, explain that those who use their time to hear and chant the glories of the Lord, the sun cannot take away their life. The sun no longer becomes the enemy, but becomes the feature by one who becomes closer to eternal life. Because simply by hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, we are performing the highest form of spiritual practice. Because to glorify the Lord is the purpose of the soul's existence. To associate with the Lord means to glorify the Lord, to chant His name, to hear about Him, to speak about Him, to remind others of the glories of the Lord. These are all part of the same process that attract our mind. And the soul is getting purified through that, and the body concept of life is becoming lessened, becoming diminished. So much so that when one becomes absorbed in the process of hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, one is no longer in the material world anymore. Their consciousness is in the spiritual world. And when that time comes when one leaves the body, it is just like changing clothes. It's that easy. For the conditioned souls, for those who live to enjoy the things in this world and live to make success out of the activities in this world, for them death is a very fearful concept. They don't even talk about it because they don't want to be reminded of it. But for a devotee, they know that death is the doorway to eternal life. And the purpose of the human form of life is to go back to the spiritual world, to again associate with the Lord in transcendental pastimes, which is eternal. That means it doesn't begin or it doesn't end. What is eternality? Can we figure out what is eternal? We are eternal. That means we were never not existing. There's no beginning to our existence. There's no end to our existence. But when we take on a body, then we start thinking about beginning and end. We call that birth and death. But that has nothing to do with you. It has to do with your body. And because you're in the material world, you get a body. But it's just like the devotees were talking to Prabhupada. And they were saying that they made this tree, and it looks just like a real tree. When people see it, they actually think it's a real tree. But it's made out of plastic. It's a plastic tree. So it's not a real tree. It can't function as a real tree. The only thing it does is it looks like a real tree for a while. So Prabhupada says, yes, that body is like that. We have a plastic body. It's made out of plastic. And after some time, it'll be gone. But you're not gone. You're eternal. You can't be gone. But the question is, where do you want to go when you leave? Sometimes we make plans to go on a vacation or some trip. And we think about the trip. We make plans. We make sure we have enough money to get there, enough money to spend when we get there. We make plans of where we're going to stay and what we're going to do when we get there. So we do that a lot in this world when we go from place to place. So when we leave this body, we're going to another place, but then we ask, well, where are we going? And everybody can't really say for sure where they're going to go, but you can plan for it. You can plan for it. You can plan to come back here again, and again take birth and go through the whole process of going to school and getting a pair of diapers and passing stool in your diapers and starting all over again. And then you have to go and you have to you get a girlfriend or a boyfriend, get married, have some kids, and then die again, and then start over, same process again. And sometimes if you're not so lucky, you get a different body, you become a dog, or a cat, or a cockroach. So, Maya Lavase, Kacho Bese, Kacho Habubu Dubai. In life after life, we're traversing from life after life. But we can plan where we're going in our next life. And we should plan to go with that place where we don't have to leave anymore. We don't have to, again, leave that place and undergo a situation which is the opposite of our nature, and that is the spiritual world. And the only way you can get to the spiritual world is you have to develop your attraction and your love for Krishna. But love for Krishna comes by way of knowing Krishna. The more you know about Krishna, the more that love becomes real, because the love is already there. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Saru Kabunoi Shravanadi Siddhi Chitte Kodiye Udoy. In the hearts of all living beings, pure love for Krishna is there. It's not something you have to create. It's nothing you have to bring from the outside. It's you. You by nature love Krishna, but you're covered by this body, therefore you forgot. So cutting through the bodily conception of life, or cutting through the ignorance that blocks our memory of who we really are, is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Krishna Smaranam, Ram Smaranam. Remembering, hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. Maharaj Parikshit, the king of the world, he was a powerful king. He was young. He had a wonderful and very qualified wife, very wonderful children who were all devotees. He had a kingdom that was unrivaled on the earth. He had a full treasury, and there was no enemies. And he had so much support from his citizens. But then, when he was cursed to die within 7 days, to be bitten by a snake bird, he was so powerful that he could have counteracted the curse. It's all mentioned in the Bhagavatam, that he was unfairly cursed. And by his transcendental position as a great devotee, because devotees have power. Sometimes people in the material world, they want to get power. All you have to do is become a devotee, and you become really powerful. What is that power? You're connected with Krishna, and he's the all-powerful personality of Godhead. So when we connect with power, we become powerful. And power is not the goal of life, but it carries us through life. The goal of life actually is to connect with Krishna in devotion. So the power of devotion is that power which we look for. And so Maharaj Parikshit, when he heard that he was going to curse, he didn't go to, the specialist to find out some remedy for the cure. He didn't travel to, the different Kavirajas around the world. He simply sat down on the banks of the Ganga and started to fast until death. Being the king of the world, he had attracted the attention of so many great personalities who came and saw this king who now had left everything and was about to give up his life simply by fasting. When the word spread, sadhus, saints, great personalities came from everywhere just to see this king. And one person arrived, he was Sukadeva Goswami. He was an eternal associate of Srimati Radharani who appeared at that time as the son of Vyasadeva. And from this time of his birth, he was a pure devotee of the Lord. When he knew that there was this great king who was fasting till death, he arrived on the scene. And when he arrived, he was 16 years old. And all of the great other personalities, many of them were great sages that were quite old in age, and many of them famous. But when he came, everybody rose. They all got up to greet him, knowing he was the most advanced spiritually. They gave him the seat of honor, and then he spoke. And he spoke for 7 full days, the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. And Maharaj Parikshit, he sat there and listened. He also asked questions during the discourse. And for 7 days, he simply absorbed his mind in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. He forgot about eating. He forgot about sleep. He didn't even ask for water. He was so absorbed in hearing about Krishna and learning about Krishna that nothing else could affect him. After 6 days of narration of Krishna's pastimes in Vaikuntha, Sukadeva Goswami was about to begin the 10th canto, which is the heart of the Bhagavatam, Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. Sukadeva Goswami stopped. He looked at Maharaj Parikshit and he said, "Do you want some food? Do you want some water?" And Maharaj Parikshit, he said, "This is what I've been waiting for, Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. Please continue." When Sukadeva Goswami heard that, how enthusiastic he was, how detached he was from everything else, Sukadeva Goswami became more enthusiastic and he started to narrate Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. After finishing all 12 cantos, Maharaj Parikshit became fully self-realized. He had no fear of death. They say that out of all of the fears in the world, what's the greatest fear? Death, right? Because whatever you live for, it's gone. And so people don't want to think about death, especially the non-devotees who live in the world, because they have their plans. And if they think about death, they can't be enthusiastic for their plans. But a devotee, he knows, how much time do I have left? I don't know. I could leave tomorrow. I could leave next year. I could even leave in 10 minutes. So let me use my time, whatever's left, whatever time Krishna's given me, to do the most important thing in life. And that is to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. And by doing that, we get inspiration to serve the Lord. The more we hear and chant the glories of the Lord, the more we want to serve the Lord. And by that service, we become attracted to the Lord more and more. And when that attraction becomes so strong, all we can do is think about Krishna and devotional activity. When we reach that stage of consciousness, then there is no more fear. Happiness doesn't affect us, distress doesn't make us unhappy. We simply continue to absorb ourselves in the Lord, knowing that whenever I leave this body, I will go back to Krishna. And so that is the plan making of the devotee. They're planning to go back to Krishna because by hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, that's our ticket back home, back to Godhead. Because there is an intense attraction for Krishna that cannot be explained simply by words. We are naturally and fully, it's like a raging river that rushes towards the ocean. Our love for Krishna is so strong that when it's awakened, it's there, but it's hidden. When it's awakened, it takes over the soul's existence completely, and the soul becomes simply absorbed in Krishna, that's all. Or Ram, or whatever deity of the Lord that you focus your consciousness on. And then, Tattva Deham Purna Janmani Naiti Mameti Sorjuna. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, when you know the transcendental nature of why I come into this world, what is my activities in this world, and upon leaving this world, you return to my abode in the spiritual world. So that knowledge comes by hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. And hearing and chant, so sometimes you say, well, I don't have any attraction for hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. What do I do? How do I get attracted? Well, there's one easy way. Shushusha Sharadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Shanmayat Seva Bipa Purnya Tirtana Sevana. By serving great souls, great service is done. And by such service, one gets an affinity, a strong desire to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. So, awakening the desire to hear and chant comes by way of serving Vaishnavas, especially devotees that are what we say pure devotees or advanced devotees. So whenever we get a chance, we should take opportunities to associate with and serve Vaishnavas. Then the next verse is Srinvata Swakata Krishna Purnya Shravana Kirtanaha Vidhunoti Sahit Satam. That devotee develops an intense desire to hear about Krishna. When he wants to hear about Krishna, Krishna comes into that heart of that devotee and he cleanses away all the material contamination. And gradually, through that cleansing process, the devotee becomes more and more attracted to Krishna. And then as that attraction grows, then one hears and chants the glories more. Maharaj Parikshit, he heard for 7 days. Sukadeva Goswami, he narrated for the same period of time. Both of them were so absorbed in hearing and chanting about Krishna and about the process of pure devotional service, that although there were so many hundreds of sages all around listening to the narration, it was just like the two of them, that's all. It's like sometimes, to use a material example, when you fall in love with someone and you're with that person, everything around you doesn't exist. You just become so absorbed in that person that the rest of the world just, it's there, but it's not there for you. You're not even aware of it. So it's like that. Is that when we come to that stage of Krishna consciousness, then all of a sudden everything else becomes insignificant. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was demonstrating that he would go through the motions of taking care of his body as if it was mechanical. He wouldn't even think about what he was doing when he was taking his bath or going from place to place, because he was so absorbed in Krishna that whatever else he was doing was happening automatically. It wasn't happening by his conscious effort. So that is Krishna consciousness, and it's available through the process of hearing and chanting. And therefore, the sun, although it continues to rotate in its orbit, and each time the sun comes up and down, another day is lost, and another day is closer to the end of this body. It's like Prabhupada was giving a lecture in Johannesburg, South Africa. And he was talking about this principle. And he said to one young man, "What is your age?" The man said, "I'm 22. Prabhupada said, "You're 22 years dead." So we say, "I'm 22 years old." No, you're 22 years dead. That means 22 years of your life is gone. You can't bring it back. So sun is moving us in that direction. Only if we don't hear and chant, when we hear and chant the glories of the Lord, we actually come to our position of immortality. Because this process of bhakti, the goal is to become immortal. We are immortal. That's who we are. We don't die, we're not born. But to realize that is the process of bhakti. And that realization is available through hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. So everyone wants to make a solution to the problems of life. Everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to gain something. And everyone is struggling in different ways to perform activities, to be successful, to be happy, to gain things. But the simple process is just become Krishna conscious, that's all. And Prabhupada's so merciful. Prabhupada was giving a lecture to his fledgling American disciples, and he was saying, and you have to be 100% Krishna conscious before you go back to Godhead. And the devotees, they were looking just like you are. 100%, and Prabhupada could see that it was too much. He said, all right, 90%. Become 90% Krishna conscious. And then the devotees still were bewildered. And then he said, all right, 80%. And still not too much happiness out there. And then he said, 70% and no less, and he left. So he made it, if you can make it to 70%, you can go back to Godhead. Prabhupada has given that concession. When he says that, he's not just making some statement, he's giving, because the Guru can do that. He can make it easier for you if he shows you special mercy. And the mercy of the Guru is the mercy of Krishna. And whatever the Guru mercy comes upon you, that becomes your success. So if Prabhupada says, all you need is 70%, you should try for 100, and if you get 70, you still are successful. So it's difficult in this age to become Krishna conscious. Why is it difficult? Because Maya is so strong. There's so many allurements out there, so many chances to divert our consciousness to things in this world which really don't have any real benefit for our spiritual life. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam it says, in one purport, in the 4th canto, 8th chapter, verse number 30, there's a rhetorical question posed by Srila Prabhupada in the purport. He says, some people say Krishna consciousness is easy, and some people say Krishna consciousness is difficult. So what is it? How many of you will say it's difficult? And how many of you would say it's easy? And most of you don't know. So Prabhupada said, if you're determined, it's easy. If you're not determined, it's difficult. So the principle of determination, when applied to the execution of bhakti, is the success. That, okay, it may be difficult, but still, I understand it's the goal of life. It doesn't matter whether it's difficult, if it's easy, nice. If it's difficult, still I tolerate it, but I go on. So determination, just like anything you want to do in this life, if you want to be successful at, you have to work at it. If you want to get a good position in society, you have to qualify yourself. And there's so much competition also. And then you have to fight amongst the competition. And you also have to develop those qualities. So in order to do that, you have to focus your mind and you have to work for it. And it requires determination. If you go to school and universities, you're in the university and you have to pass the exams, you have to go to the classes, you have to take the homework, and then you have to pass the final exam. And you have to not go to parties because that'll take away from your studies. And, you have to be determined if you want to get good grades in the university. So Krishna consciousness is the factor of determination. That I want to use my time to hear and chant the glories of the Lord and to associate with and serve devotees. The more we do that, we have a beautiful project here. I came here, I think in the first year was 2002. Was it 2002? I think Smrita Krishna, he knows. When was my first year? And you weren't here in 2002, no. What was his name? Govinda Pran? The house on the corner I stayed. Prangaranga's house. Is he here? Where? No, he's not here. I stayed in Prangaranga's house, 2002. And there was just a little open area here. There was we had a little tiny temple. Shikshastika was here practically by himself, praying for other people to come. He was working hard trying to make some worship the deity here. And gradually, each year, more and more things were coming, and people were coming gradually. Now we have this beautiful temple. But we're not satisfied. It's too small. Right? We got people who are outside there, and this is not even a full crowd. We need a bigger temple. So a plan is for another bigger temple. And so we have to work on it. We have to spend some time. We have to use our resources, Lakshmi. We have to find ways to support the whole project. It's not a one-man effort. It's not just the brahmacharis who are doing it. It's for everyone. Because when you all participate in the activity, you all get the benefit of building Krishna's temple. And it says, this is in the Shastras, it says if you build a temple for the Supreme Lord, He builds you a temple in the spiritual world. He builds your temple in the spiritual world. So we have a great opportunity to do some wonderful devotional service by working together with the devotees who have made a plan to make a very beautiful temple complex that is going to be right out here, just on this side, 4 stories high. It's already in the planning. But it takes time, it takes energy, it takes determination. If you're determined, Krishna will supply everything you need. The temple is already built. It's there, but it's on the 4th level, the 5th level. The 5th level is the level of idea. When you start building it and it starts to formulate, it comes to the 4th level. We're living on the 3rd level, the level of length, breadth, and width. The fourth level is the subtle level, and the fifth level is the spiritual level. So in the plan making, it's already on the spiritual level. So we have to bring it down gradually, and then through our own efforts, that temple which is already built on the spiritual level will manifest on this level. Because it comes by the heart, when the devotees in their hearts want to glorify the Lord, and they're determined to do it, that temple already exists in the spiritual world. But we need everyone's cooperation, support, help, and time to bring it and make it on this level. And that's our good fortune. We get a chance to do some wonderful service by creating a beautiful temple where so many more people will be able to come and take advantage of Krishna consciousness. So it's not only a temple for us who are here, it's a temple for everyone in this whole Nashik area to come and actually take part in the activities of pure devotional service. So to have that opportunity is rare, and to take advantage of it is our good fortune in life. And so what we're actually doing is inviting the Lord to come and live in his beautiful temple. He's living here in this temple, but he's thinking, it's too small. I need a bigger place. Not for himself, but for all of us. And that's the way Krishna consciousness is, because Krishna consciousness doesn't stop. It keeps expanding, expanding, expanding. And the idea is to get the whole city of Nashik into the temple. You might think, well, that's impossible. But Prabhupada used to say, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. In Krishna consciousness, nothing is impossible if you are determined. So we all have that determination towards certain things in life. When we gear it towards Krishna and the desires of the spiritual leaders to glorify the Lord, then that determination becomes stronger and becomes the success of our bhakti. Becomes the success of our bhakti, like that. So, and I'm seeing, I've been coming here for 20 years on and off, and I've seen the growth of this temple. And so by the efforts of the devotees, so far, we have a nice area, beautiful, but we want something bigger. Something bigger, something more inclusive. That means more people, more activities, more programs, different types of programs, opportunities for children. That's one of the most important part of these temples, where children can come and they can play mridanga, they can see the deities, they can also meet here with their fellow friends and fellow school members and learn about Krishna consciousness. We don't have to send them to public schools where they have to learn about, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. It's the Radha and Krishna of the cartoon world. Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse? No? Okay. That's the Radha and Krishna of the cartoon world. But we have the real Radha Krishna. Sisi Radha Madan Gopal. I remember after I was coming here for a long time, Shikshastika Babu started sending me every day for months and months, the Didi Darshan of Madan Gopal. He would send a whole series of pictures, and I still have all of those pictures. I made a file. Every one I still have. I have hundreds of pictures. And he used to call it the feast for the eyes. A feast for the eyes. So So the tongue likes nice prasadam, but the eyes, they also need something nice to look at. So what is more attractive to the eyes? The eyes are simply the windows of the soul. It's the soul that's actually becoming enlightened, enlivened through using the eyes to see the beautiful form of the Lord. And it says that if a person has eyes and they don't see the beautiful form of the Lord, their eyes are like the eyes on the peacock feather. The peacocks have eyes, right? But there's nothing, nobody can see. So eyes are meant to see the beautiful form of the Lord. And Shri Radha Madan Gopal, these deities are very beautiful. I'm not just saying that because I want to say something nice. They are very attractive, really attractive. You get attracted immediately. There's Radharani is so sweet, and Krishna is he's mischievous. Right? He's like he's thinking about something, but we're not sure what he's thinking about. He's always making plans to enjoy. That's Krishna. And he's inviting us to take part in his enjoyment. If you really take a nice darshan of the deities, you'll see he's really wonderful, Madan here. Radharani is beautiful, but when I see Madan, I don't see Radharani anymore. He's so attractive. And Radharani, she's always looking at him anyway. So if you look at Radharani, you got to look at Madan because she's looking at Radharani. She's looking at him. So otherwise, we look at television and we get tired just looking at movies or some kind of boring thing on television. And the only thing that the eyes get is that we get more pain in the eyes, and then the eyeglasses have to be increased. But if you look at the deities long enough, you can throw your eyeglasses away. He actually sharpens your vision simply by looking at him. It's a beautiful story in the Sri Sampradaya where, I don't know the whole story, but the story goes, there was one where Ramanujacharya used to have a festival every year, and it would be a grand festival celebrating, I think, the appearance day of the deity of Varadaraj. And one very rich man and his very attractive wife used to come every year. They were very wealthy. And when they would come, this man, I can't remember his name, but he was always looking at his wife. Lucas? I can't hear you. Dhanurdas. Thank you. His name was Dhanurdas. Thank you. And his wife's eyes were so beautiful that all he was looking at was her eyes all the time. And he was there in public, and he just constantly looking at his wife's eyes all the time. And sometimes the devotees would get disturbed. He's just looking at his wife all the time. That's all he did. And then Ramanuja approached him and they were talking. And he said to Ramanuja, have you seen any eyes more beautiful? Referring to his wife. Ramanuja said, if I show you eyes that are more beautiful than your wife, would you agree to look at that? He said, there's nothing more beautiful. No, I can show you. Oh? Okay. So he took the challenge And then he went, and Ramanuja brought him into Bhardaraj. And he said, just gaze at the beautiful transcendental face of Bhardaraj. And as he was looking, something happened. Bhardaraj used his mystic potency and attracted his mind so much that he couldn't stop looking at the deity. And then he was shocked. He actually was defeated. He found something even more beautiful. And because of that, he actually became, both him and his wife became devotees. And that's a long story after they became devotees. So the Lord is, Krishna is not beautiful. We don't say Krishna is beautiful. We say Krishna is beauty. If you want to define beauty and you're looking for a definition, it's Krishna. So it's not a matter of he is beautiful, he is beauty. Beauty gets its meaning from God. And if you give your eyes a chance, and take how we take darshan, when we see the Lord, we put our eyes at the lotus feet of the Lord. Gradually we move our eyes up till we come to his smiling face, and then we bring our eyes back down slowly to his lotus feet. We offer obeisances. That's how you offer obeisances. You start with the feet, take your eyes up to his transcendental form, and then you just absorb yourself in looking at it, and then you offer your obeisances. And if you practice that and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then gradually, then you'll think the things in this world, they might be nice, but they're nothing like Krishna. Krishna becomes so wonderful. And then when you come to see the Lord, it's just like, I'll give you an example. There was one devotee in America, he had a preaching center. He had this preaching center for years, and he had deities of Gaurnitai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, and Lakshmi Nrsimha on the altar. And he has that temple for more than 30 years now. And one day, this was maybe about 20 years after he had the temple, one of the congregation members made an outfit for his deity, for all three deities. So they gave it to him, and they said, this is for the Lord. So he's looking at it, and he was telling me this. He was looking at it, he said, this outfit's not so nice. I'm not going to put it on the deity. So he decided not to put it on. He didn't like it. And then he thought, well, they made it, I'll put it on once. Because they made it, I should give them a chance, they did some service. So he put it on once, and he describes that when he put it on, the outfit looked so beautiful. When he was looking at it, and it wasn't on the Lord, the experience was different. As soon as he put it on the Lord, the outfit became beautiful. So they say, something becomes beautiful in connection to something that is beautiful. For example, the sky becomes beautiful when the full moon is in the sky. A woman becomes beautiful when she has a qualified husband. These are statements from the Shastra. So when you come in contact with something that is beautiful, you also experience your own beauty. It starts to come out. So anything in connection with something that is beautiful also becomes beautiful. Like the devotees are beautiful. Why? Because they're devotees. They're chanting, they're dancing. Before them, you look at them and they look really miserable and sometimes not so beautiful. But when they become a devotee, Even if they're not beautiful, they're beautiful. Because the soul is becoming awakened, and it gives illumination and beauty to the body. And even the body becomes beautiful by the presence of the soul when the soul is attracted by Krishna. So that's Krishna consciousness. Everything becomes wonderful. So if we can hear and chant the glories of the Lord, make it a regular feature of our day. Do not pass one day without taking sufficient quality time to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. And gradually, then all of the miseries of this material world will be gone. And whatever miseries are there, even if they come, they're not so important. You just somehow tolerate it and go on. So that is Krishna consciousness. It destroys all of the illusions of the material world and situates one in permanent happiness. So, this is our process. Hear and chant the glories of the Lord. And as we mentioned, get together and make plans to do what you can to be a part of making this new temple for Sri Sri Radha Madan Gopal, along with Lalita, Vishaka, Gaur-Nitai, Srila Prabhupada. And that's glorious. And it's a rare opportunity to have this chance to do this service to help bring about a temple. It's not just a process of difficulty and work, it's a process of purifying the heart and becoming happy simply by serving the Lord in a very wonderful way. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Sri Sri Madan Gopal ki jai. Shri Shri Gaur-Nitai ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Every year when Maharaj comes, it's a feeling which personally I have experienced over the years. And I have seen Chandramauli Maharaj back in when I was personally serving Radhanath Maharaj. It's been decades that Chandramauli Maharaj, he has not just shown his mercy in such a wonderful way wherever he goes, whether it is Radha Gopinath temple, whether it is all the yatras which he attends, and not just attends but participates. And we know that when it comes to kirtan and dancing, even at this age, the kind of enthusiasm he has, many of the youngsters, they will feel ashamed in front of him. And I have seen that when he speaks, like tonight's lecture, so full of, his wonderful realizations over the years. And as he was speaking and glorifying our beloved lordships over here, I was feeling that how happy our Shri Shri Radha Madan Gopal ji must be. It's like personalities like Chandramauli Maharaj who have dedicated his life, whole soul, for so many decades now, and they travel all over the world preaching the glories of Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and somehow we become instrumental to get them here. How much Radha Madan Gopal ji will be pleased with us that we got him here. And I remember one time Radhanath Maharaj, he was sick and he was in fact admitted in the Bhaktivedanta hospital, and it was the Gaur Purnima festival, and he was so sick that he couldn't give a class or come to the temple. He was there at the hospital, and he was listening to all the speakers. Chandramauli Maharaj was also there, one of the speakers. And at that time, I was there alone in that ward where Maharaj was in that room, deluxe room. And when both of us, as I was giving him some medicines and taking care of him, that time Chandramauli Maharaj's lecture was going on. And Radhanath Maharaj, he told me that, these realized souls like Chandramauli Maharaj, when they speak, what is the difference between the new preachers, and he was pointing at, the young brahmacharis, when they speak as against, personalities like Maharaj speaks. So he said that, when you guys speak, it's all very entertaining. It's all like with so much spices and masala. But how long can someone digest and eat so much spices? So basically he was saying that, after a while, you need the most nourishing, healthy dal chawal. The pizza burger, how long can one eat? So it's the power of their realization that every word which they speak, it appears to be very simplistic. It appears to be something which we have heard, but the more we hear without us knowing, that's what the words of Radhanath Maharaj, the more we hear without us knowing, it is purifying us from within. And more than that, like I said, that because he has dedicated his entire life with so much of sincerity and loyalty towards Srila Prabhupada, and coming over here whenever we call him, his simplicity is something which just wins over our hearts. Thank you, Maharaj, for always being so considerate and so compassionate upon all of us. So let's thank Chandramauli Swami Maharaj with our grateful heart by loudly chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. His Holiness Chandramauli Swami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
Now there will be Shayan Kirtan. So would you like to lead Maharaj Shayan Kirtan? There will be Shayan Kirtan now, Shayan Arti for 10 minutes.
Shayanarti, 10 minutes.
Kirtan.
It's soft kirtan. Right?
Soft.
Do you have a songbook? Jai Sisi Radha Badan Gopal ki jai. Yeah. Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopi Nata Madana Mohan Shri Govinda Gopi Nata Madan Mohan Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Kalindi Jamuna Jayo Jayo Madhavan Keshi Ghata Vamsi Vata Dwara Sakaran Jaha Shambalila Koilo Srinandananda Srinanda Jasoda Jaya Jaya Gopagan Sri Damari Jaya Jaya Denu Vatsagan Jaya Vrishabhanu Jaya Kirti Dasundari Jaya Purnamasi Jaya Viranagari Jaya Jaya Gopi Swaram Vrindavanamati Jaya Jaya Krishna Saka Bhakti Vijayan Jaya Rama Gatha Jaya Rohini Nandan Jaya Jaya Vindha Vana Basi Chatta Jan Jaya Dvija Patni Jayam Naga Kanya Gam Bhakti Tejahara Pailo Govinda Charan Shri Rasam Mandala Jayam Jaya Radha Shyam Jaya Jaya Rasa Leela Saru Manoram Jaya Jaya Jvala Rasam Saga Rasa Sar Bharakiya Bhave Jaha Braji Te Praja Shri Janava Padma Padma Koriya Smaran Dina Krishna Dasa Kohe Nama Sankirtan Dina Krishna Dasa Kohe Nama Sankirtan Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopi Natha Maranna Mohan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gopal, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna. Jaya Radha Madna Gopal, Radha Madna Gopal, Radhe. Jaya Radha Madna Gopal, Radha Madna Gopal, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Radhe. Radhe Jai Radhe. Jai Radhe 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 Jai Radhe. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Shri Radha Madan Gopal Ki, Shri Prabhupada Ki, Nitai.